And now, Dental Bites, with the dental hygienists of Dental Post.
Hey, everybody. I need to talk to you guys about something that's happening within our profession. Have you guys seen the new resolutions that were passed by the ADA in response to the dental hygiene workforce shortage?
Yes, I saw some of them. I haven't seen them all laid out in depth, just like this small little snippets that you've seen across social media and stuff like that. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, let's break them down because maybe I don't know them all either. I know foreign trained dentists can come and practice hygiene.
Well, this is what they're proposing, right? It's not. This isn't.
It's not.
Right.
This isn't reality. These are what's proposed. Yes.
So the way I read it from the ADA resolution, and tell me if you read something different, guys, was that foreign trained dentists could come to the U.S. and they could practice as dental hygienists. Then I read a letter from Aaron Haley Hitz, our ADHA president, that to the ADA president, and talking about all these issues. And then he came back and his response was that these foreign trained dentists would still have to pass boards. But it is nowhere in that resolution, as I read the resolution, that it said anything about boards. That at this point it sounded like it was all just, if I went to dental school in Kalamazoo, is that a real? I don't think that's. I'm trying to make up.
I have no idea if Kalamazoo on the moon. You went to dental school on the moon.
Right. Thank you. Excellent. Right. I went to dental school on the moon, and then I can just, like, the way I read it is I could just come in and practice hygiene. And I mean, I'm just saying, I don't. What kind of quality care are we giving? What kind of infection control do they know? Like, I don't know. I got some issues. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, definitely. Go ahead, Allie.
Well, I was saying that's where I was getting confused because I read also the letter and I was like, okay, well, the letter makes a little more sense saying, well, they have to pass a board or, show some type of skill where I'm like, okay, I can maybe it's still iffy, but like, is the shortage really that terrible right now? Or we have to go to these extreme measures? Is it like, are we really to that point?
I have one. I don't know. Is this just a me thing? Why don't we start with letting us practice in any state, right?
Right. What?
Couldn't that, before we allow this of any country come in, why can't we have reciprocity and practice in any state before going to these extremes? Let's start small.
That one makes a ton of sense to me. As long as then you understand, the jurisprudence for that state. And I think that's where some of this issue becomes really hard is, I'm smarter in Virginia than I am in North Carolina, that kind of thing. Like,
are you, did something happen to your brain cells when you cross state lanes?
As soon as it's 20 minutes away, as soon as I cross that border, I forget how to use a dental laser. It's too much for me. It's too much for my pretty head.
The sun gets in your eyes.
So hard. So hard.
Too sunny.
And there's something that, like, the patients are just different, right? When you from Oregon to Virginia are the patients. There's something. Their health.
Oregon is very different. We have established that last time with their the way
guys
they
are way
dispose of their
smart
dental
over
products.
there.
Right. Yeah. There is some differences here for sure. And at the same time, there's still that push for increasing the workforce, right? And so like one of them, as we said, was the foreign trained dentist. And also the other kind of piggybacked with that was dental students who had already taken their dental hygiene board exam. And I have words
was it
and
board
thoughts.
exam? I thought it was just competencies. I just thought
maybe it was competencies. Yeah.
Meaning,
okay.
like they were in dental school and they learned how, like, they took their one class on how to do dental hygiene.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you're not a dental hygienist and you're watching this, it took me 3 years of clinic to learn how to be an okay dental hygienist, and then a long time to be a really good one. But so just their competency. And the thing about that is I actually did some research around this to see, like, how many hours in a dental school do they have to do of dental hygiene, scaling, that kind of stuff. And it varies by
Yeah.
university, by dental school. It can be as little as 10 hours, or or as much as 100 hours. I'm making up numbers right now, but the point is there's no rule that at dental school all of them are going to get so many clinical hours and didactic, meaning learning book hours
Right.
around it. It's kind of willy-nilly.
Right. Well, and I will say that is, the same when it comes to local anesthesia. When you look at the educational requirements for a dentist to administer local anesthesia versus a hygienist to administer local anesthesia, huge difference. And so, if, dentists who are giving anesthesia on a regular basis for practically every single patient that's in their chair get minimal hours on that, how many hours are they going to get for a procedure that they may never end up doing? Right. So it is kind of it's a weirdness.
Here's my question too. What happens if they don't end up finishing dental school? Do they still get to
Practice dental hygiene.
hygiene?
I never thought about that.
I didn't think about that either, Kim. Oh my
dental
gosh.
student
Yeah.
has time to do hygiene, by the by? I mean, aren't they kind of busy in dental school?
Hopefully.
And is that really what they want to be doing with in their downtime?
Yeah.
They want to be studying, or in the little downtime that they have, they want to maybe see a friend or family.
Maybe
live
hopefully.
up college.
Pick up some hygiene temp on a Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then along with, since we're in the world of academia talking about that, wasn't one of the resolutions also about the CODA numbers of changing those? Because right now, and like Kim and I are currently active educators, and so we very much have lived the CODA life in the most recent manners, right? Both of going through a CODA accreditation in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
But it's a 5-to-1 student to teacher ratio, and CODA is looking at, or they proposed that they didn't put a number to it, but they talked about
just said do away with it. They just said do away with the ratio.
Oh,
That's how I read it. I could have read it wrong.
So I read, and I'm going to kind of jumble the actual words, but I read that they want the ratio to be what it is in dental schools or medical schools. There was something along that type of verbiage, which was 12-to-1. Because I looked it up, like, what is that ratio? But I saw both. I saw both, like, get rid of it completely, and then I saw that wording.
Tina, I don't know about your school particularly. We don't have enough space to have no ratios. I mean, we have 23 chairs, and I mean, I guess if anything, it would just cut down on our faculty.
Well, and I think that's part of it, because some schools are having trouble getting faculty.
Right,
But
because
could you
faculty are
imagine-
retiring and new faculty aren't coming in.
Could you imagine,
See,
as a
we have
hygiene
so
student,
many.
having to wait for your instructor to check 12 students? I mean, last year I taught at a hygiene school, right? And I was wearing roller skates, trying to, like, they write their name on a thing, and you're trying to get to each kid as fast as you can so they can move on to the next part, because they have to get through, I mean, could you imagine waiting, and you're like the 12th kid in line waiting for a hygiene check?
Well, and then the patients aren't going to receive the care because the students can't move on. And we still have to we still have to have competence and demonstrate competence. And students can't demonstrate competence if you don't have the faculty members there to assess that competence.
And then how do I have the time as an instructor to really spend the time helping a student, like, they're having trouble, removing calculus in this certain area? Well, if I'm trying to fight between 12 students, I'm not going to have the time to sit down and be like, okay, let's adapt this. Okay, let's think about how we roll this. Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a minute. Like,
It won't
you
happen.
have to do that.
Right. So then we're just going to graduate and put into the workforce hygienists
Subpar clinicians.
Right. Subpar.
And that's not safe for the public.
Well, apparently,
I don't think
they don't care because they're letting dental students and foreign trained dentists. So the standards are out the window. So that's what they're pretty much telling us.
Right.
Unfortunately.
So I do have to say that over the years, CODA has adjusted that ratio. At one point in time, it was one instructor for every 6 students. And they thought that was too many students for an instructor. And so they moved it to a 5 students to 1 instructor ratio. So even then, just having that one extra student, the commission realized that that was too much for one faculty member. And if we don't want to burn our faculty members out, we don't overload them with students that need to have this quality education.
How many are you? What's your ratio at your school, Tina?
It's 5-1.
You're 5. So we're 4-1 or 3-1. So we're really lucky. Our fourth semester, we have one 5-1 group. But otherwise, no, we're pretty lucky, especially when you only have 3. You really can spend the time with the students that they need.
That's good quality for sure.
Yeah. So when will these be reviewed? They're proposed. So what's the next step? When is the next step? Who's voting on this? Like, right. I don't know.
I think as I understand it, this is just the ADA has passed these resolutions. So now every state dental board across the U.S. can look to these resolutions and say, hey, the ADA is saying this is a good idea. So I think we should change our state rules, I guess, for lack of a better word, right? I don't know, our laws. Yeah. So I think the thing is, word to all the clinicians out there, if you are listening and you agree with us and you're like, what the floss? Like, I would encourage you to figure out who your legislators are in your area. And does it work that way? Maybe I'm being ignorant.
Yeah.
Here.
So
there's a legislator part to it and there's a dental board part to it.
Right. So depending upon what it is, it could be something as simple as advocating to the dental board where they can modify rules, right? Because there's the laws and the rules. So the board makes the rules and then our legislature makes the laws or the regulations. So it kind of depends about each state. And how is it? Is it written as a law? And so you have to go through legislation, or is it a rule that the board can hear words of, proposals and make their own decisions? So no matter what ends up happening, it is the group with the most voices is going to be the group that's going to be taken the most seriously. So if there is a group that is very strong and in favor of having foreign trained doctors and having dental students and all of the other things that are along with that, there's a group that has a lot of members that are a part of that. That group is going to show that is what the majority of people want. And if there's a group of people who don't like that and they aren't a part of that group, to say, hey, we support the not doing this, you have to show up. You can't just complain in the background. So
you can't just sit here on Dental Bites and complain, guys. Right. We got to actually do something about this.
Yeah, sorry, that was a really long-winded way of trying to not call out different names of associations and groups.
Right. But I would say being a member of your association is an important thing, and being a voice and letting your legislators and letting your board know how you feel about this. So I would encourage you guys to do that. Well, guys, thanks for a great Dental Bites. Man, this was a little controversial. I like this, guys. If you listeners watchers have any insights or any thoughts, or gosh, maybe we screwed it all up, let us know and leave some comments and we'll check them out and we'll do better next time.
Yeah, and make sure you subscribe so you can hear all the rest of these as well.